Hey,
And-
if you're a criminal, you can get a lot of perks in prison for donating your brain to be studied like that. I'm serious.
Oh, after you die.
It's good to know that.
Maybe you do while you're on.
Also, if you'll let people like do shampoos, cosmetics or whatever, if you'll volunteer to do that, then,
My son-in-law's done that. In fact, he goes by the nickname of Lab Rat.
yeah.
I want to go back to something. Your title of your presentation here is the brain's computation of the soul.
Yeah, how your
Now-
brain teaches your soul.
Okay, so we just, from what I understand from what you've been saying, is that you're equating a biological consciousness with the soul? Are you
Right,
equating consciousness with the soul?
Yes, I mean,
So
well, that's
therefore, you're saying
what
that.
aspect of consciousness, what aspect of the soul is other than consciousness, except perhaps for belief in an afterlife, and perhaps even that's a form of consciousness? I mean, what would an afterlife be without consciousness?
Well, hopefully you would have a fresh consciousness, otherwise you'd have a lot of baggage.
Well, the one I wonder is, when you go to
Exactly.
heaven, what age are you?
Filter, maybe.
Could I be 27?
Well, what happens if your mother wanted to be the same age?
That'd be okay.
Or maybe she
Wouldn't
wanted to be
matter, if it was
17?
quantum, there was no time.
Exactly.
Wouldn't matter.
No,
You
who
don't
said
have a
that,
body.
who said there's no time in
You don't have a
quantum?
body there either.
But the thing I was getting at was that if you're equating consciousness with the soul, then you can take any living organism, because you've already talked about that too, as some sort of fight or flight type of response. So even a plant would have some sort of consciousness and therefore a soul.
Well,
You
it
do
has some
realize
sort
that
of
you
com-
just
where
ruined
do
life
you
for
draw
all
the
of us
line
kids.
on
What will
soul?
we eat?
The other thing
You
is, I
can't eat
mean,
rocks either, because I do that.
since this is a Noetics group, I probably should have spent more time, studying on some of the ways this would tie in with sort of more Noetic thoughts, but it certainly is possible. It's like, my feeling is, I don't know that much about quantum mechanics, but quantum mechanics of at least some type presumably involves waves that probably we can't even measure. And
The
so,
potential, they're only mathematical representations.
They're not like.
well,
Until you observe it, it becomes a particle. Until then, it's just energy. In the form of a wave.
basically, most of the people in quantum mechanics don't think it requires human consciousness for a waveform collapse. Quantum computing wouldn't work if it did.
That's very reassuring.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not mine.
the whole concept of decoherence I told you basically says that the Schrodinger cat disappears before anybody looks in the box. I think it's
Otherwise,
something
where
like
would the
10
universe
to the
have
minus
been before we
24
evolved?
What?
Where would the universe have been before we evolved?
Oh, there was a Swedish guy or Scandinavian guy, the first toward science of consciousness I went to. The consciousness has gotten increasingly less crazy. In 2012, there was some really weird stuff. Now you have
You do realize what's on TV right now.
but now you have like Dean Radin speaks there, but Dean Radin talks in terms of tests and statistics and stuff like this. And if this backward in time physics thing is true, like his statements that the quantum detector, which was basically just measuring the randomness of this number streams you were getting out of a quantum random number generator, became substantially less random in the 24 hours before 9/11.
Yeah.
And that could be basically, the microtubules are much as Hameroff describes them. I don't believe in his fact that they're kind of like, acting like little intelligent pixels doing, all sorts of computational on the whole. They are doing all sorts of computation, but not a representational computation, I don't think. But
Why not?
I don't think they would have the memory mechanisms. I mean, they are doing, it depends how you define memory. I mean, more or less, all of reality is full of memory. I mean, my cat throws up on the rug, there's memory until I clean it up, you know what I mean? There's that type of memory all throughout reality. But representational memory, I don't know. But anyway, it is true that microtubules have all sorts of quantum properties, that they do have this Van der Waals-like connection between the electrons in close carbon rings, and that those things basically, when the electron in one goes that way, the electron in the other, they go like that, to reduce the electromagnetic force of having two electrons close to each other. So quantum vibrations can sync up. You know, if you put two metronomes on a table, they tend to sync up. It's called entrainment. So quantum vibrations can entrain. And I remember I was talking about the backward time physics. I think a lot of physical quantum interactions are forms of entrainment between various vibratory modes. So, but with the backward in time in physics, it would be very possible that the brains of billions of people would be having certain types of vibrations, maybe ones associated with negative emotions. And that all of a sudden shift in the radiation from all sorts of, the quantum radiation from all sorts of brains could actually go backwards in time, because remember the problem with going backward in time is sort of hitting the right target. But if you have so many things broadcasting stuff everywhere, but it's going backward in time, it would be measurable. So,
Well, I'd have to think about the property of the thing that's actually going back in time. Is it euthany?
I think what's going backward in
So
time,
if you go backward in time, is it?
what's going backward in time, because the equation, most all the equations of the forces in the basic standard model compute backwards as well as forward the same.
Well, and time is a linear experience in our human experience, and we don't really know.
We
what
perceive it
time
that way.
is,
It's not
other than just
necessarily
our
that way.
experience of
Thank
it.
you.
I mean,
Well, I
in
think-
space, probably there's no such thing as time.
I think there is a real thing of time, but there's no one real time, because time is relative, and certain things can go backwards in time. So you say a quantum vibration has no time. It has no time in the sense that it's probably computing backwards and forward at the same time. So it has sort of two
Has a
times.
split personality.
But it is a temporal, it is computing a wave equation, and wave equations are, you can't have non-time wave equations like, but most the wave equations we're talking about occur in time, they have a frequency. So,
There is a quantum physicist who has published a lot of books, but one of them is called, it's Amit Goswami. He's published The Physics of the Soul, and he actually years ago.
I've never read it, but it sounds an interesting
Yes,
title.
it's, and he did the Self-Aware Universe, which was one of the first ones way back in time that he did. And so he was adamantly against all of it to begin with.
Against all of what?
And against there being any possibilities of something that someone might consider a soul or mystical or anything else. But he does an admirable job of taking you through the physics and how that relates to what is with our terminology, our vocabulary, of what's the soul. Another one is, he's actually a quantum chemist, like Dr. Teresa Merkel. I don't think a lot of people realize that in Germany, you have someone who is the leader of the country who is a quantum chemist. And yet Trump was gonna tell her about nuclear, anyway. You might have seen the disparity in that.
smartest
But he is from the Max Planck Institute and physical chemistry, where things are from the quantum realm and how they pop into the physical realm, and what that is, it's called infinite potential. First time he wrote a book, no one could get it, no one could understand it, and Deepak took him aside and said, we gotta rewrite this book.
Well,
And it's still not an easy read, but it will take you to the realm of non-local to what we live in, the physical realm. You've read it again more recently than I have, but infinite potential is worth the effort.
well, yeah, it's just infinite infinite means no matter what number you pick, it's bigger than that.
You can always add one, or point one.
But at the 2016 Tour de Science of Consciousness, I thought the most interesting new stuff I was learning was about the stuff they're learning about sort of these strange quantum properties of biomolecules. And there was one guy who was a black guy from Howard who gave a speech about how the phonons of these chemicals, which are their vibrations, which can basically sort of harmonize and sort of synchronize to be expanded quantum states, the phonons of these biochemicals can actually interact with the more electromagnetic quantum waveforms of these things. I think I was talking about that. The molecule is like vibrating apart. All of a sudden, the quantum connectedness will stop, and then if it comes together, it will start again. So that you can get all sorts of quantum sort of periodic bursts of very high frequencies occurring at a lower mechanical vibrational rate. So you realize that you could be getting, little sort of pulsed quantum transformations that would depend on biochemical states of brains, so that you actually could be transmitting different sort of signals depending on emotional state or other types of things. So that's really pretty interesting, I think. So it's 9:20. So, and I have been up, I haven't had a good night's sleep for 5 nights.
Poor baby.
Yeah, well, I went to 3 good parties this weekend. Including a Super Bowl party in Boston. So